Well, I thought I'd do something a little bit different as the game seems to be broken at the moment. As you probably saw from my other stream if you were watching that, vehicles drop through the map and then start bouncing backwards and forwards invisibly underneath the map or underneath the surface of the ground, and you can see them on the map bouncing. So I thought what I might do is, if I can remember how to operate these keys, have a bit of a look around the Veghel map, because it is actually quite a nice map. I've enjoyed playing it so far, and I'm sure I'll get a lot more enjoyment out of it. It's got obviously a lot of the features that are introduced with Velmolen. So you've got those nice ditches and trenches and that sort of thing, giving lots of cover for attackers and defenders to be able to make some interesting gameplay from it. So we've got this quite open approach, but obviously that's not a major problem in this particular layer, because everybody's rushing towards the first point and there's not likely to be anyone round this side doing very much to attack you. I've taken up the allies, started from their position so we can see what the approach is from their point of view. As you can see, lots of open ground. Now we've got an interesting feature over here, all these little wooden pavilion structures and the warehouse. So there's an opportunity here to set up an observation or a fire position of some sort overlooking the other side of the river while the main units advance along the road. Now we've got a couple of different entry points in addition to the main bridge, so let's just look at the main bridge first. So I played a game earlier where the Allies set up a fob by this building, but it's quite an exposed position. If the Germans can get close to the bank there, they can deliver quite a lot of fire on that. Obviously the bridge is a bit of a pinch point at this location, but you do have a couple of other locations where infantry can get across comfortably. So we've got this location down here with the fallen building and the sunken boats, and then if we whiz up to the north of the main bridge, you can see we've also got this other crossing here, which goes into an interesting kind of industrial compound which provides some cover. There's an opportunity to stick some defensive forces in there as well. So let's just head back over to the main road. We'll look mostly at the main route approach, I think, but obviously there are lots of variations in terms of the various fields and bits of woodland dotted around to either side to help cover the approach. At the German position here as well, we've got an AA gun, which is obviously useful. Nice 88 pointing out in this direction, so that can help to defend the position and take out any armour that's approaching the bridge. I'm not sure what the spawn rate on that is, whether it's every game or if it spawns randomly like the guns do on some of the other maps. Well, Velmolen, I think the guns spawn randomly at different locations. Anyway, proceeding up the main road, you can see we've got trench lines quite deep here, so good opportunity for some interesting fighting around the trenches, although that's not going to give you a lot of protection against artillery, planes, bombs, that kind of thing, of course. And moving over, we've got some other possible strong points defensively where you could position some troops. We've got one of these nice barns that gives you an opportunity to climb onto the roof as a sniper. We've got one of these big white barns that we've seen before. Obviously that's one of the popular defensive points. And then you can see as we move over this way we start getting into the main town area. Fair few buildings, trees and bushes to cover an approach of infantry across there. And you've got different points of attack, so you could go house to house from the south there, or you could come in on that western approach and maybe get a fob up to the north of the river on that side and approach from there. So have a look, how close to the point are we? So there's the town square over there. And that's our first defensive point away from the bridge. You can see lots of houses and gardens, so interesting location for both sides. Quite open to the north, but there are still sort of hedgerows, trees and some cover. And there's this interesting fence line, trench line coming in, which is something else that troops could use as cover to advance. So once you've made your way through that point and captured it, you can then see we're moving up to the next bridge pinch point here. Although this river is fordable by infantry, they can just run across it, so it doesn't present any kind of obstacle to infantry. And over here, you can see to the south of the town hall, we've got quite a good forest area. Just listening to noisy birds, quite interesting. So lots of scope to advance in via this, and you can see we've got this trench line. Although this ditch has a disadvantage in that it's quite well covered by those buildings, so you can put one machine gunner in there and deny access to that area completely. The town hall's quite interesting. I don't think it's a good defensive building. You would have to fortify it quite heavily because the windows are very big. They don't give you a lot of cover. It's a bit of a goldfish bowl, to be honest. The other side of that is it does have very good firing positions. So in terms of covering an area and distance shots, it's good. I would probably tend to put people in other buildings around the point. But as I say, depends how much you can fortify that town hall really to make it into a useful defensive position. It's a shame we can't use a church because that's cracking. Can you imagine being a sniper? If there was a way you could get up there, that would be fantastic. But lots of other buildings that we can use in here anyway to make for an interesting game. So, Crossroads is our next point, which is just over here. Finding my way around. I like the layout of this map. I think it looks really nice. It's pretty, it's functional. You know, you've got lots of interesting things going on in terms of attacking and defensive positions. But yeah, it just looks lovely. It's got a nice feel to it. So here's Crossroads. Not, I would say, a particularly good point to defend. There's so many avenues of attack that people could take, but you do have buildings. You could block them off, put in mines and tank traps and things, try and restrict the armed usage, and then the infantry would literally have to fight their way from house to house along there. There's a few other interesting buildings which I haven't checked out yet. Obviously you've got the windmills dotted around, but there's buildings like the chateau, which I'm guessing will probably come in to one of the later layers, so it'll come into play. But at the moment, a bit far away from the action to be immediately useful, but will be good when it's used in anger. So, carrying on along the map, again we can see we've got woodland off to the south there, so that's another good potential place to advance if you can get across to it. I mean, the ground looks quite open across there, although there may be some depressions and ditches that we can use to get across. Yeah, so you've got some banking there. Looks like you can get round, possibly without being seen, to that wooded area. So let's head up from Crossroads then to T-Junction. I'll have a look at that. Now I think this is probably going to be a really, really difficult one to defend. I suppose if you've got armour, it's probably got reasonably open views. Let's have a look. Yeah, so you've got, you can put some tanks around, so they've got quite good views of the surrounding countryside. But it's going to take a lot of fortification to try and turn this into, oops, apologies, try and turn this into some kind of seriously defensible position. You've got some buildings there that you can defend, but the actual main point itself looks like a nightmare. Travelling on from there then, let's just finish our journey up at German Main. Let's have a look at that. So again, lots of like nice open ground. Which isn't probably going to be that relevant because everybody rushing down to the point, nobody using this piece of ground particularly in anger. And let's have a look down here at the Puma. So quite an attractive vehicle, I think, a bit different. Liking the way the wheels animate as well, as per the real thing, all turning in unison. So I've only driven it about the map at the moment. I haven't actually fought in it, but looks like a fun vehicle anyway. If a bit slow, I was surprised how slow it was when I was driving it earlier. Of course, the Sherman. The only thing about the Sherman that I really noticed was you have less gun power because you've got the smaller 75mm. But I say noticed in the specs, didn't notice it in combat at all. But you probably would if you came up against the Tiger, especially with the new damage model that they've got, taking into account the armour, thickness, slope, penetration, and the ability to damage modules as well, individually, and crew, which should be fun to find out about. Anyway, it's a quick whiz over the track, or the map, apologies, track. I think I'm in a racing game. But hopefully, if you've not had a chance to try this map yet, I'd recommend you get on it, give it a go when they fix it, because at the moment it's currently bugged fairly severely. But once it's all fixed, and I'm sure that will happen fairly soon, it's going to be a nice map. Anyway, I'm going to sign off now, but thanks very much for watching.